It is 4 p.m. We're bringing developing news and the stories behind the headlines. This is Storycondo Story Conference. I'm Ed Lingao. Some stories we're watching this Tuesday, April 28th. Former Congressman Zaldico is back on the run. As the Justice Department confirms, he is no longer under Czechia custody. Justice Secretary Frederick Vita says Czech officials declined to provide details on Ko's release. Still, the DOJ believes the former lawmaker may still be somewhere in Europe and is possibly traveling across the Schengen area by land. The agency remains confident he'll be returned to the Philippines to face charges. Meantime, in a media briefing this afternoon, Palace Press Officer Claire Castro says President Marcos has been apprised of the situation by the DOJ. The president is said to be disappointed by the development.
Czech authorities have informed us that Mr. Zaldico is no longer in their custody. I'm disappointed for lack of further knowledge. They express that they do understand the gravity, the concern of the Filipino public. I'm confused at the legal parameters where this is coming from. Anong possible? Hindi naman natin pwedeng papuntahin ng pulis natin doon. Diba? At manghuli, magdampot. Hindi naman yung kinikilala na alternative. Diba? Ang ano dito is that's why we explore for other bilateral or multilateral agreements and we invoke particular positions on the matter.
This just in, Malacanang confirms that the Department of Foreign Affairs has received reliable information. Zaldico has a pending political asylum application in France. The camp of Co has yet to issue any comment on the report. The palace likewise did not provide further details on the matter. Senate President Pro Tempore Ping Lacson says government only has itself to blame for what he described as a lost opportunity to take Zaldico into custody. Lacson believes the failure to act promptly has left authorities in an embarrassing situation and called for faster action to bring the fugitive ex-lawmaker back to the Philippines. Meantime, Senator J.B. Ejercito says the search for Co is now back to zero following the latest development. Ejercito said Co's return is crucial so he can testify in the alleged flood control scandal and identify those who were involved. The Philippine peso slid to a new intraday record low of 61.08 against the US dollar today, April 28. That's after opening at 60.80. The currency has weakened sharply since the outbreak of the Middle East conflict. We will give you the local units close in a bit. A survey by Octa Research shows that VP Sara Duterte leading a hypothetical one-on-one presidential race against Naga City Mayor Leni Robredo. Duterte got 46% support versus Robredo's 35%. The poll also found 19% of respondents undecided, indicating that the race could still tighten despite the current VP's lead. Octa says the narrower margin compared to previous surveys suggests a more competitive and polarized electoral contest heading into 2026 or 2028. And the Pasig City government has ordered the closure of Blue Hotel, operated by Zerin Development Corporation, following an NBI raid there on April 21. The establishment was raided over alleged involvement in human trafficking and prostitution. It has been linked to former lawmaker Mike Defensor, who has since denied any connection to the hotel and its operations. Okay, we have a correction there. It's 61.3 pesos to the dollar. 61.3. I'm sorry, it's the closing number. 61.3 pesos to the dollar. And joining us today via Zoom is Storycon's resident political principal, Regina Lay.
Resident political principal.
Okay, and our Ronaldong Putik, Mr. Ronald Llamas is also there. Oh, ikaw ba?
Naka-mute yan, tinan mo.
Milagro, hindi ka naka-mute.
Fresh, behave ako kahapon ha. Wala kang
Oo nga,
masasabi
I appreciated that. Na-appreciate
Hindi
ko yun.
hindi ako sumama sa mga toxic masculinity ni Ed at saka ni Secretary.
Ayan, naubo tuloy si Ed.
Ako na naman nakita ninyo kayo talaga. Ano na nangyari kay Saldi ko? Ang hiwaga na nangyayari.
Kainuman ko lang kagabi.
Ganun ba? O ano sabi niya? Saan siya patungo?
Chill lang,
Nasa France.
chill lang siya. Humihingi ako ng maleta. Hindi ako binigyan.
You know, I was looking it up. I found the immigration page of the Czech Republic. Let me read to you something that I found. It's probable that he was given a departure order. It's a document issued to foreigners so that they leave the Czech Republic. That's issued in cases of expiration or revocation of visa or termination of temporary residence and so on down the line. Typically, they're given something like 30-day time limit to leave the country. What's interesting about it is this: it's not possible to transit through other countries of the Schengen area if you just have a departure order, meaning you have to go to another country that is not Schengen.
Schengen. Yeah,
So,
that's correct.
so I suppose that means he cannot just go back to Portugal, if that is the case. The next question, of course, is where can he go if he has no travel documents?
Well, theoretically, ang Switzerland ay hindi Schengen. No? UK is not Schengen. Pero kailangan niya ng passport doon.
Yeah, wala pa rin siyang travel documents, so it's back to square one.
Yes, pero hindi siya pwedeng, kaya nga nung simula pa lang, hindi siya pwedeng hulihin, wala naman siyang kaso eh. Wala siyang red notice, no? Walang extradition. Lalo na kung meron pala siyang pending asylum application sa France. So, yun yung mga dahilan kung bakit hindi siya pwedeng hulihin.
Actually, that's the question on a lot of people's minds na bakit
boys.
kung wala kang travel document, why are you not why are you not in detention? Ito yung lumalabas eh. The realistic case could be that he is set free because of the following. His identity is confirmed, meaning his passport is real, just canceled. So if you really have a passport that was just canceled, you can fall under this. Ibig sabihin, you can be detained and then set free so long as your identity is confirmed. There is no overstaying in the Schengen area, and you have no criminal flags. I suppose with that qualifier, yung sasabi ni Ronald na kung hindi ka naman red notice, hindi ka flag criminally. And the person cooperates.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ang tanong ko, Ed, ay meron ba siyang confirm na ba na wala siyang Portuguese passport?
That hindi masagot ni kahapon, di ba? Ni John Vic. Inaalam pa nila.
But I think Frederick Vida, the Justice Secretary, said na mukhang wala. The problem with your theory, Ed, is that kahit na na-identify na yung passport, remember, he doesn't have a visa. If it's really just a golden visa that's attached to the passport. Maybe as well, hindi siya, so for a long time, we've been asking, is it a passport? Is it a golden visa? There's another option here, which is a permanent residency card. Could be also something that's in the mix. But to your question about saan siya pumunta, and that's what's interesting about the midnight press conference ni Vida kagabi. It sounded like hindi sila binigyan. They weren't given that much information by the Czech authorities, by their Czech counterparts.
Yeah,
which is
clearly.
completely different from what he said going in. So Vida said na we're friendly with the Czech. We give them information, they give us information. They've asked for our help at one point, repatriating a criminal, and now we expect that they would, hopefully return the courtesy. So going into that meeting, mataas yung expectation, yeah. And by extension, mataas din yung expectation natin that the Czech authorities were gonna tell them a lot of things. But apparently, when they asked the Justice Minister where Dali Ko went, or and other questions around how long his stay was and all of that stuff. Parang ang sagot lang is, they can't divulge that information, which is
Yan
not
ang
at
problem.
all the help that they were expecting.
Yan ang problema sa bouncing check.
Yeah.
Napatawa.
Yeah.
O, napatawa ko si Reg, ah. Bouncing check.
Oh, man. Paano ba to?
Ay, yan tuloy na checkmate tuloy sila.
Hirap na hirap tuloy
Talaga ba?
magpaliwanag si Auntie Claire.
Talaga ba, boys? That's your best shot?
Ay, isang gabi ko pinaghandaan yan.
Okay. A
Nakita mo
for
yung press
effort.
con ni
A for
malaki
effort.
pa niya.
Auntie Claire. Napanood mo yung press con ni Auntie Claire. Hirap na hirap tuloy magpaliwanag.
Okay.
Galit daw sa presidente.
But anyway,
Tama naman.
yeah, later
Tama
we'll
naman
have
si...
Go
Oo,
ahead.
tama naman si Senping that it's a missed opportunity. And I would add it's a big missed opportunity. Remember the collective relief, collective, I guess even happiness that people had when they heard na nahuli na si Zaldico. Tapos a week later, yun nga, may correction in the terminology that was used. And remember, we were talking about this yesterday na mukhang wala na sa custody ng Czech Republic because, reading between the lines with what Vida said in the earlier press con, mukhang wala na. And true enough, kinonfirm na nga kagabi.
Anyway, later we will have an international law expert who has some familiarity with the Czech law. So hopefully we can get more insights on what could have happened in Prague. I'm sorry?
Great.
Okay. Okay, so that's one story. The other story, of course, is the peso. It closed at 61.3. Before today, people were worried about it hitting 60. now we've surpassed 61. So
Si Reg, baka nagpapalit na ng mga peso niya. Reg.
Hindi nga eh. I mean, even about a month ago, too late na eh. You missed the boat. The time to be doing it was last year. And last year pa lang, as I keep saying, may forecast na umabot na ng 60 pesos to the dollar tayo. That was before the oil crisis, right? And when we talk about on the show na this crisis will have lingering effects, matagal-tagal impact nito kahit na naka-ceasefire tayo, this is one of the consequences, right?
Kahit dito more than 71 na yung euro. More than 71 pesos na to 1 euro. So ang sabi nila, tumaas from a few months back from 67. I think the opening ng taon, it was 67. Ngayon 71 plus na yung euro. So lahat ng currencies, bumabagsak tayo.
So, anong kinakain mo dyan, Ronald? Wala kang panggastos sa puro Lucky Me. Ang dala mo.
Naku, may sponsor yan si Ronald.
Nakikiko lang ako dito. Nakikikain lang ako sa kalsada. Maraming kwan dito Maraming humba.
Di ba may di ba kainuman nga si Zaldico last night?
Oo,
Nako.
may hingi ako na maleta Uy, nakita niyo ba
Ano
yung
sabi?
Nakita niyo ba yung pinost ni ni Pulong? Na sinagot ni ni Wilfredo Garrido. Yung sabi ni Pulong, now that the ICC has confirmed all the charges against my father, we're preparing in full force to make the ICC pay for what they have done. They will face the wrath of every Filipino who loves PRRD. So, kailangan mag-red alert dito ng mga pulis sa Den Haag. Hindi na karton yung lulusog.
Ikaw talaga, So wait, you're now at The Hague? You're in the Netherlands?
Near The Hague.
Hindi mo pa masabi ko talaga.
Oh,
Well, ngayon kahapon King's Day. Grabe.
Oh, yes, it was King's Day.
Ang mumura sa flea market. Pero mo, 1 euro, isang grandfather's clock. No?
1
bakit
euro?
ka naman bumibili ng grandfather's clock?
Ang ganda, antique Ang dami ko nabiling antique, hindi ko 1 euro lang.
Paano mo
Maganda.
uuwi? Ano yung ano yung excess baggage mo niyan, grandfather clock eh.
Oo. Imagine, no?
Sige, hand
Talagang
carry mo.
amaze ako eh. No? Buhat-buhat ko. Naglalakad ako rito, Reg. Buhat-buhat ko yung grandfather's clock ko. €1. Oh.
Sige, Ronald, hand carry mo yan, ha? O, teka, we have
Here,
a
corny.
correspondent now, We have a correspondent waiting in the wings.
Panghuli lang, isa lang
sige,
note.
sige.
Isang headline dito. Ngayon ko lang nabalitaan, lumulubog pala ang Manila 1 centimeter per month, 12 centimeters per year. News dito ngayon sa Netherlands na ang para sa kanila ay kwanto, seryoso. Humihikap na si Fred sa sinasabi ko.
12 centimeters per year. That's around
Antok.
that's around a
Then,
third of a foot.
I mean, matagal ng news yan. I guess
Yeah.
for us, it's no longer news. That's why we're not reporting it.
Yeah.
But it has long been estimated na lumulubog na siya. And that's why maraming concerns dun sa reclamation and dun sa paggawa ng mini commercial center doon.
But that's 12 centimeters a year. Tapos mas bumibilis pa siya because of tumataas yung
Climate
tubig.
change.
O
Yeah.
tumataas yung tubig dagat habang lumulubog naman yung ating lupa. So, double whammy. No? Kaya nagulat lang ako na headline dito sa Netherlands at hindi headline sa Pilipinas. Yung paglubog natin.
Kasi malaking bagay sa
Paano
Dutch yung
Jakarta kasi lumilipat na eh.
Malaking
Jakarta,
bagay sa Dutch
nilipat
book
na
yung
capital eh.
Malaking bagay sa Dutch yung yung water level.
Malaking bagay
dito
yung
ka-
climate change and
Yeah.
its impacts.
Tsaka Netherlands kasi expert sa water management eh. Below sea level sila, di ba?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Bok, let's bring in News 5 correspondent Camille Samonte for updates on former lawmaker Zaldico. Camille, what's the latest from your end?
Yes, Bok, wala na nga sa kustodiya ng Czech Republic si dating Congressman Zaldico. Inanunsyo yan ni Justice Secretary Frederick Vida matapos makapulong ang mga opisyal ng Czech Republic kahapon. Ibig sabihin, hindi nakakulong at malaya pa rin si Ko. Ayon kay Vida, pinalaya ng Czech authorities kalauna ng dating kongresista matapos mahuli dahil sa kakulangan ng dokumento. Pero matipid ang impormasyon na ibinigay ng Czech authorities nang usisain na nila kung bakit pinalaya at kailan nakalabas ng kanilang bansa si Ko. Dahil daw yan sa mahigpit na implementasyon ng data privacy law. Nang dumating daw kasi si Vida sa Czech nitong Biyernes, sa pagkakaalam niya ay nasa kustodiya pa ng Czech Republic ang dating kongresista. So ang tanong ngayon ng taong bayan, nasaan na ngayon si Ko? Posible raw na nasa Schengen area o nasa Europa pa ang dating kongresista. Land travel daw ang ginagawa ni Ko kaya nakakaikot ito sa Schengen area nang hindi gumagamit ng pasaporte. Nakuha na nga raw nila yung registry information ng sasakyan na ginagamit ni Ko at ang pagkakakilanlan ng kasama niyang driver. Kanselado na ang kasalukuyang pasaporte ni Ko pero ang ginamit niya ng maharang sa German border ay ang expired na passport. At sabi ni Vida, kahit wala na nga sa Czech Republic si Ko, sinisikap daw nila na mapabalik siya sa bansa sa pamamagitan ng Interpol Red Notice. At ang susunod na hakbang ngayon ay bubuo sila ng cooperation agreement sa pagitan ng police agencies ng dalawang bansa kasi ito raw yung naging dahilan. Kaya nagkaroon ng hindi maayos na koordinasyon ang mga police agency dahil nga kailangan galangin yung data privacy law kaya hindi agad na ibigay yung lahat ng impormasyon na kailangan ng DOJ. Kampante naman si Vida na maibabalik ng Pilipinas si Ko pero hindi niya raw masabi kung kailan ito mangyayari.
Camille?
Camille, yeah,
No,
Reg.
I was just gonna say, kwento mo naman sa atin, yung 3 passports, apparently he has 3 passports and I think a lot of people don't know ano yung difference and ano yung passport niya as a lawmaker.
Mm-mm. So yun nga, Regina, 3 passport daw ang meron si Zaldico. Una, yung kanyang official passport bilang dahil siya ay isang kongresista noon at yung isang passport niya ay expired na. So ito yung bit-bit ni Zaldico nung maharang siya sa German border. Tapos yung kasalukuyan niyang passport, ito na yung kinansela ng korte dahil nga dito sa kanyang kaso na graft and malversation. So yan yung tatlong passport. Pero hindi malinaw kung yung dalawang passport ba, yung kanyang official passport at yung expired na passport ay nasa kanya rin ba? Kasi nga nung naharang siya sa German border, ang naipakita daw niya ay yung itong expired na passport niya.
Camille, so kung medyo confirmed na wala siyang dalang Portuguese passport, at saka ikalawa, meron na ba talagang red notice? Paano, alam ko kasi nag-file sila last year, pero as of a few days back, hindi pa talaga naibibigay ng Interpol. So meron na bang red notice ngayon ang Interpol? Pero yung unang tanong, yung confirm ba na wala siyang Portuguese passport?
Ronald, sa parte ng DOJ, hindi pa rin nila makumpirma kung wala nga ba talagang Portuguese passport itong si Zaldico. Pagdating naman doon sa Interpol Red Notice, hanggang ngayon ay hindi pa rin ito naaprubahan. Nasa evaluation stage pa rin daw ito kahit na nung isang taon pa, nitong November pa, ni-request ito ng gobyerno. Kaya nga, kasama sa pumunta sa Czech Republic, ang Philippine Center on Transnational Crime at naggawa sila ng due diligence at ni-review yung kanilang application at tinignan kung meron bang kulang at nag-attach sila ng mga dokumento, ng mga impormasyon na posibleng kakailanganin ng Interpol para nga sakaling maaprubahan na itong red notice na inaasahan nila na sana makakatulong para nga mapabalik sa bansa itong si Po.
Camille, pagkaklaro lang, yung binanggit ba ni Vida, si Ko has left the Czech Republic already or he has left Czech custody? There being, of course, a difference between the two. Meaning, one is wala na siya sa teritoryo ng Czech Republic or the other one being hindi na siya under custody ng Czech authorities. Which is which?
Bok, ang sabi ni Vida, ang impormasyon na binigay sa kanya dun sa kanilang pagpupulong with Czech authorities ay wala na sa kanilang kustodiya itong dating kongresista. Hindi naman malinaw kung kailan nangyari yung kasi di ba he was accosted, pero hindi raw sinabi ng Czech authorities kung kailan siya pinalaya at kung kailan din siya umexit sa Czech Republic. So ngayon, doon nga nagkakaroon ng issue itong Department of Justice dahil medyo confusing nga daw yung pagtugon nila sa sitwasyon ni Ko dahil una, in-inform sila na nandoon nga na naharang si Zaldico. Pero hindi naman sila in-inform nung pinalaya na at kung kailan siya nakaalis ng bansa.
I understand yung pinalaya pero my question is, did they actually tell Philippine authorities that Zaldico is no longer in the Czech Republic? Iba kasi yung pinalaya siya ng Czech authorities versus he was already deported or forced to leave the country.
Yes, Bok. Yun ang naging confirmation na wala na nga talaga sa custody at wala na rin sa bansa mismo ng Czech Republic itong si Zaldico. Kaya ang tinitignan nga nila yung Schengen area. Kasi di ba may mga land border mula sa Czech Republic. So tinitignan nila yung Germany, yung Austria, Slovakia. Yan yung ilang lugar na tinitignan nila na nakapalibot sa Czech Republic na posible na susunod na puntahan ni Zaldico. Pero kanina nga lang, may anunsyo rin ng Malacanang na di umano ay nasa France na nga itong dating kongresista.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what's surprising about the press conference that Vida held last night. No, it sounded like hindi masyadong helpful yung Czech authorities, his Czech counterparts. There were a lot of questions na sabi ni Vida hindi sinagot. For example, as you said, what day pinalaya si Zaldico, sino kasama niya, and what the charges were, for example.
Ang bouncing check talaga.
Yes, Reg. Alam mo, may punto ko lang, no, yung sinasabi nga ni Secretary Vida kagabi, ang naging impression daw kasi talaga sa kanila ay walang bilateral cooperation ang Pilipinas at Czech Republic, yung police agencies. Kaya walang naging proper coordination and communication dun sa nangyari kay Ko. Kasi nga dahil dun sa data privacy law, kailangan daw respetuhin yon. Pero kung may bilateral cooperation, posible raw na mabilis na na-coordinate at kumbaga real-time yung information na naibabato sa pagitan ng police authorities ng Czech Republic at dito sa ating gobyerno.
Okay, mga Bok, let's bring in, let's say thank you na to Camille Samonte and let's bring in our next guest. Maraming salamat sa iyo, Camille Samonte, News 5 correspondent.
Salamat, Camille.
And our guest for this afternoon is international law expert Ralph Sarmiento. Attorney Sarmiento, of course, is the former dean of the University of St. La Salle College of Law. Dean Sarmiento, thank you for joining us again. Welcome back.
Yes po.
Salamat,
Magandang
Dean.
hapon po. Opo.
Turuan mo kami din. Nagpapanggap lang kami ng learned dito eh. Pasensya na.
Sir, we're trying to wrestle with the possibilities of what happened. Kasi one moment we were all excited, next moment parang, pinalaya? Ganun pala yun. So, what do we know about Czech law and what could have happened here?
Well, actually, ang biggest news and update ngayon is yung apparently he has a pending application for asylum
Sa
in
France.
France. Opo.
France.
So, and that will completely change the entire equation. Yun yung sinasabi natin na posibleng magpatagal sa buong proseso in case he would be applying for asylum in any of the Schengen states. Now, we do not know if the petition for asylum was filed before he was detained at the German border. So we do not know, or if it was only filed recently after he was detained at the German border and then transferred to the authorities in the Czech Republic.
Pero di ba there's also the Dublin Accord. I understand na you should be filing your asylum at the country of entry or the country where your
Not
visa was
necessarily
granted?
po yung sa Dublin regulations po. You can only file asylum in one Schengen state.
Okay.
So meaning to say, once nakafile ka na doon, hindi pwedeng mag-forum shopping ka in different Schengen states. So for example, nag-file ka ng application for asylum in France and then it was denied. So hindi ka na pwedeng mag-file sa iba kasi ibabalik ka sa jurisdiction ng France.
Okay. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Dean, yesterday we spoke to DILG Secretary John Vic Remulla and he was explaining to us na kapag may political connection yung asylum seeker, sorry, not asylum seeker, yung subject of a red notice application, the process is a lot more complicated. So as opposed to, I was asking him what's the difference between the red notice application for Atong Ang and Zaldi Ko. Kasi yung kay Ang, mas mabilis na kuha. It came much faster. And he said, whenever there's a political connection to it, the authorities, the Secretariat of Interpol takes a much longer time to assess it. I wonder if you knew anything about that and can talk to us about what the difference is.
Well, yung pong sa Interpol agreement, may political resolution po yun. Whenever may political angle po yung application or the crimes for which the person is requested to be provisionally arrested and then be brought back to the country requesting for the red notice. Basta may political connection yon or may political angle yung cases, no, kahit na criminal cases yon, normally it will take some time for the Interpol to assess and evaluate the same. Kasi po yung theory doon, yung purpose noon, the Interpol should not be used for political maneuvering or for some political for the political benefit of some politicians in one particular state. So hindi po pwedeng gamitin yung Interpol for that particular purpose. So they also need to ensure na hindi wala pong political persecution na nangyayari.
I wonder if you know what extra questions are asked if the subject has a political connection.
Well, not necessarily po. I don't think na pwede mong gamitin sa Interpol yung political connection mo. This is an international body and normally basta sa mga international body po, we trust.
Yeah. No.
Wala yung political connection will not...
No. I meant, I wonder if you knew what extra questions are asked about the application kapag ka may political angle. If there's a political connection, what other questions does the Interpol ask, and what other background checks do
Okay
they
po.
do?
I'm sorry, I may have misunderstood your question. Yung question po doon, you just have to prove na this is not for political persecution. Na this is purely, he's being requested, the red notice is being requested purely for a criminal case and not for purposes of political persecution. So they just have to be sure na yung angle na yon na hindi siya talagang, hindi siya ginagamit ng Interpol for political purposes. So wala pong specific na requirement doon. It's usually taken on a case-to-case basis to be evaluated by the Interpol.
Professor, nung unang naglabas ng statement yung gobyerno, no less than the president, ang sabi nila, arrested. Eventually, sinabi ng gobyerno, he was detained. And then, sabi ng Czech Republic, he was accosted. No, accosted. No, so ano ba talaga technically yung nangyari? Detained, arrested, accosted? Paano, ang nakakapagtaka, bakit matagal? Bakit matagal
Kasi
siya
po
sa
yung mga
custody?
terms na arrest, taking a person into custody or detention, may mga specific meaning po ito sa batas. Kahit na po sa Philippine law, may mga specific meaning po yan. When you say arrest, you take a person into custody for purposes of surrendering him to the judicial authorities for purposes of facing criminal prosecution or trial. So yun po yung purpose ng arrest. So an arrest is usually directed towards a particular criminal case. So so technically hindi po natin pwede magamit yung arrest kasi number one po he's facing a criminal charges in the Philippines. And yung pursuant to the principle of territoriality, yung criminal law po natin hindi po enforceable outside of our territorial jurisdiction. So hindi po tayo pwedeng mag-arrest outside. So a person cannot be arrested outside of our jurisdiction to face criminal prosecution for a Philippine case unless may red notice and then pursuant to Interpol parang coordination na parang we requested and then yung red notice, it's a request for the provisional arrest of the person to be taken into custody by the states na mga member ng Interpol na makakakita sa kanya. And then he would be processed din po based on local laws and rules of that particular state. So kung malalaman nila na ma-establish na talaga may basis yung red notice na may pending criminal cases siya, so dun po magkaka-surrender, magkaka-transfer of custody.
Pero Dean, as you can imagine, a lot of people are asking if Zaldico was taken into custody for not having the necessary travel papers, why was he released by Czech authorities? Kasi kung sa Pilipinas yan, at least sa Pilipinas, of course, iba ang batas sa Czech Republic. Kung sa Pilipinas kasi yan, wala kang papeles, detain ka, tapos I suppose send you
Deported.
send you back
Deported.
to your country of origin or something like that.
Kasi po
Do you
hindi
know how it
ganun
works there?
kasimple yung rules sa Schengen states eh. In the first place, number one, we have to consider na may principle of parang free mobility within the 29 Schengen states. So
Okay.
technically, dapat walang border yan, wala din
Yeah.
border check yan. So apparently, yung nangyari kasi kay Mr. Zaldico was that he was coming from the Czech Republic and then pumunta siya ng Germany.
Apo.
And then parang nagkataon lang po na may parang either checkpoint or parang siguro may hinahanap sila siguro. And then they were checking the identity of the persons passing by that particular checkpoint. So na-timingan siguro na when he was asked for identity papers, not necessarily passport, but identity document. And then when they found out na foreigner siya, so normally yung hanapin nila is passport. Kasi when you're foreigner, yung pinaka-proof of identity mo talaga is the passport.
Opo.
And then so apparently, so wala siyang dalang valid passport. Expired ng passport do yung pinalabas niya. And German law, hindi siya pinapasok. So he was transferred into the custody kung saan sa nagaling sa Czech Republic. And then so it was, so yung alam natin, this was parang treated like a normal immigration or parang border violation siguro or something like that, no? Kasi hindi daw nakarating sa level ng Justice Department ng Czech Republic. So meaning to say, wala pang specific na case or kahit na immigration case na na-file against sa kanya. So it was merely a case of like an ordinary traveler who found himself not bringing a valid passport and then naharang ka. So normally, i-detain ka until you can establish kung anong basis na nandun ka sa Schengen area. So with the new development na may pending applications for asylum in France, so more likely, kung i-connect natin yung mga dots, more likely yun siguro yung basis ng for example, that he was able to establish na may pending application siya. So now, parang apparently, he has to be transferred to the jurisdiction of the French authorities where he has a pending application for asylum.
That's what you
So
meant when you said.
was he transferred, Professor, o kusa lang siyang pumunta ron?
Well, yun yung problem natin dito kasi yung siyempre based on narinig natin sa press conference ni Secretary Vida kagabi or nung madaling araw, parang he was released and wala nang binigay na parang additional details or information because of data privacy. And of course, yung data privacy kasi mas mahigpit kasi yung protection of data privacy in the European Union mga states, no? So apparently, wala na silang binigay na additional information. So we can only guess kung anong nangyari kung if he was just released, no? And then set free na to freely roam around the Schengen states, or if he was transferred to the custody of the French authorities. So
Where he applied
we wait
asylum.
for further updates and developments on this matter.
Professor,
but the thing-
can we deduce na wala siyang Portuguese passport? Dahil kung meron siyang Portuguese passport, pwede naman niyang ipakita sa Czech Republic kahit digital
Technically po. Pero I don't think he has a Portuguese passport po. Kasi to have a Portuguese passport, kasi yung passport po is a proof of nationality. So to have a Portuguese passport or to be issued with one, you have to be a national of Portugal. Hindi pwede na resident ka lang. So normally for a foreigner to be to qualify and to apply for a Portuguese passport, you have to apply for Portuguese nationality. For example, may minimum requirements sila na 5 years
Yes, sir.
residency bago ka maka-apply doon. And I don't think he has already complied with that. So
Can we also deduce that asylum application was filed long ago or at least months ago? Because I remember in Harry Roque's case, we asked him at one point what he was using to travel around because of course his passport was also canceled. Sabi niya there was a document that the court had given him. I don't know if it was a court, but he had an official document stating that he had a pending asylum application, which I assume isn't easy to get. It's not like you put in your application online, tapos makukuha mo na siya agad. I assume it takes a while. So can we, by that logic, can we also deduce that matagal na final itong asylum application?
May malaking possibility kasi if he was not in the Philippines for several months na. So depende kung ano yung kanya talagang game plan, and I would suppose na talagang yung asylum parang gusto nang i-duplicate yung strategy ni former spokesperson Harry Roque. So yung asylum talaga is the number one na remedy na pwede niyang i-replicate, for him to have a right for indefinite stay in the Schengen states. So siguro may malaking possibility na may pending applications for asylum even before he was accosted or checked or detained at the German border, no? So kung may pending applications so it will further complicate things because of the doctrine of non-refoulement. Yung doctrine of non-refoulement, basta may pending application ka for asylum, you cannot be brought back to your country of origin until the application for asylum is decided by the state where you applied for asylum. So
Absolute ba yan, Prof? Absolute ba yung law na yan? Or may exceptions, katulad halimbawa ng red notice, katulad ng criminal cases, katulad ng human rights violation?
Basta may application for asylum, normally po, I think it will take precedence over a red notice. Kasi yung red notice kasi, it's just a request to locate and to provisionally arrest a person on the basis of a pending criminal case or prosecution in the requesting state. Pero basta may application for asylum in a Schengen state, meaning to say, nasa jurisdiction ng judicial authority ng Schengen state, that has jurisdiction or is taking, where the application for asylum is pending. So meaning to say, yung Interpol will have to respect the judicial processes of that Schengen state having that asylum in their jurisdiction.
Dean, so you're saying basically that if there was an application for amnesty, this massively complicates and delays everything.
Technically po, technically.
Do we have is it possible to even put in a timetable here? What kind of timetable we are looking at if there really is an amnesty application?
Well,
I don't know if that's a reasonable
normally po
question.
yung mga application for asylum talagang tumatagal, no? Tumatagal talaga. Kasi ang daming ang daming mong i-prove, no? So when you apply for asylum, pero of course yung burden of proof nasa applicant din yan to establish na talagang may well-founded belief of persecution based on either political, religious, or yung ethnic background mo, no? Back in your home state. So kailangan mo ding establish yun. But hindi ka naman talaga mamadaliin sa process. There is a judicial process for that. And then you will be given ample opportunity to establish those facts and to prove na talagang may well-founded belief of persecution. So bibigyan sa ng chance to establish that, to present evidence, to establish those allegations. So it will take some time for the judicial process to grind.
So hindi pwedeng 3 weeks na sinasabi earlier.
Kung asylum po hindi.
May babalik siya.
Asylum normally it will take
Goodbye,
years.
Philippines yun.
It will take years. Okay.
Years.
Ikaw talaga, Ed, he apologized for that na nga.
but years, we're looking at years possibly just for that case. Just for that application.
Okay.
Yeah, I suppose kasi they also want to be very, very careful in dealing with an application like this because it will get back at them. The European Union is very, very careful with the human rights.
Prof, baka kailangan nyo i-brief yung Malacanang.
I'm sure ang dami po doon. Ang dami mga legal expert po sa Malacanang
Baka natatakot magsalita.
Prof, let me take a leap here. What do you think we could have done better? Or what do you think government could have done better or faster? Or, how to have headed something like this off?
Sandali lang po, medyo nakata ko siguro. I didn't get the last question.
I was asking lang, what do you think government could have done better? Or what else could government have done to head off something like this? Yung pagpa-file pala ng application for asylum. Kasi as early as January, we found out that si Zaldico went as far as Sweden to file some legal paperwork. So he's been moving around. So it's not unlikely that he also passed
Prof,
through
to
Paris.
paraphrase yung tanong ni Ed, paano dapat naiwasan sumabog sa mukha ng Malacanang itong issue na ito?
Well, yung asylum really changes the picture eh. Kasi kung talagang na-hold lang sa border, that would have been that would have been an entirely different case. Kung nahuli lang siya, kung parang na-stop, na border check lang siya and then na-stop lang siya sa border, that would have been easier. Kasi kahit na walang extradition treaty, kahit na walang police cooperation agreement, a simple high-level diplomatic negotiations between the two states. No? For example, yung pinakamataas talaga is the president with president to president or president to prime minister, or at least yung Secretary of Foreign Affairs to Secretary of Foreign Affairs magpadala agad ng diplomatic notes para talaga yung high level talaga. Hindi na you will be waiting for time and then magpapadala ka doon ng delegation just to to talk to the police authorities, and then apparently wala doon sa police authorities, and then so talagang dapat high level yung handling ng matter na mga ganito.
Okay. Okay. I don't know how to say this, pero parang we didn't just miss the ball, we missed the whole ball game.
Ang problema, yung presidente mismo ang nagsabi na arrested. So, dapat kasi may layers muna eh. para
Yeah.
protect the principal.
Protect me. But as a first step, I agree. That's maybe where I would have started in the framing of it at nang hindi tayo nag-aaway about semantics right now. Because the framing originally came from Malacanang. They said nahuli na, the official press release, the official news article on PCO website says arrested. So we took that lead. And if it had been at the very start something about he was detained at the border for not having official documents. We're going to try to fly in there and get as much information as we can and try to see if we could arrest him or cooperate with international authorities for his detainment. Then it's something else entirely, right? It's the expectation that you had set for everyone.
Opo. I agree.
So
Although, of course, I'm not a lawyer.
so Dean, what's the
Accosted
next
nga
step?
eh. Accosted lang daw. Accosted. Yung accosted, parang hinawakan mo lang sa braso. Ganun lang yun.
Hindi naman. Accosted can also mean, yes, detained, stopped, hinarang, and
O
so on
kasi
and so
yung
forth.
word na nahuli and arrested, that is usually used in connection with a criminal case. So kung sinasabi mo nahuli siya, so it must be nahuli siya because of what, no? Diba? So we're trying to connect that na nahuli siya because of the case in the Philippines. Pero apparently hindi pala ganun yung nangyari.
And I will go so far as to add the phrase nahuli na presupposes that there had been a manhunt, there had been a chase, there
Yeah,
had been
and,
something going on, and finally, bam, we're here, nahuli na. Right? That phrase alone makes you the protagonist, makes the whoever is saying that the protagonist na parang, matagal na hinahabol and finally we're here. But that turns out not to be the case at all.
Yeah, kasi kung wala pong Interpol red notice, so we cannot say that there is an ongoing international manhunt.
Yeah. Dean, if you were to be asked, what should be the next steps in resolving this matter in the most expeditious and efficient manner?
Well, siguro yung dapat gawin ng gobyerno ngayon is to coordinate with the French authorities, no, to verify yung information or yung report about the pending asylum claim or application ni Mr. Saldico, and then take it from there, no. So kung talaga may application for asylum and it's not
Freeze.
Dean,
Freeze.
I think we lost you.
uh,
Dean, sorry, you'll have to repeat that. Wait, you're still choppy.
he is being represented, possibly also invoke yung Article 44 nung UNCAC, yung United Nations Convention on Against Corruption. Pwede makatulong yun, no? So, importante lang dito ma-establish ng government na walang basis to say na he is wanted because of political persecution or may danger sa kanya na babalik sa dito, na like possibility na may threat sa kanyang buhay or may possibility of he will be subjected to torture or other mga cruel and degrading punishment, kasi yun yung mga basis na ano eh. So if he can establish na may talagang well-founded belief na may threat sa kanyang life, may possibility of that he's being wanted for, that this is all about persecution because of his na politically motivated or related, so magkaka-basis yung kanyang claim for political asylum.
Yeah. But Dean, in the end, I suppose it's a bit late already because at this point, government is on the defensive. In having to establish these things, it's it's on the defensive. It has to establish these things.
Well, technically po, technically yung burden of proof nasa applicant, pero normally it will be studied by the French authorities, yung judicial authorities nila, kung talaga may basis yung claim for asylum. And normally, European unions, normally, very, very protective for political, sa mga applicants for political asylum. So we really have to be sure na talagang ma-establish natin, maipakita natin sa kanila na walang basis for the claim na may political persecution or may threat to his life. Pero lagay ko gagamitin niya talaga yun threat to his life, yung mga ganun.
Prop, sabi ng spokesperson ng presidente, galit daw yung presidente sa nangyari. Kanino siya galit? Sa Czech Republic? Sa mga opisyalis niya? O saan siya nagagalit? No?
You'd have to ask Malacanang.
Baka yung tanong dapat kanino siya dapat magalit?
Hindi naman.
Oo.
Kanino
Saan ba siya
siya?
galit?
Well, technically po, I cannot say na wala siyang basis magalit sa Czech Republic, no? Kasi number one, wala naman tayong treaty, extradition treaty with them. Wala din tayong police cooperation agreement with them. So wala talaga silang obligation. And the fact na wala ding red notice, no, Interpol red notice. So technically wala sila talagang obligasyon sa atin, no, na unless kahit yung diplomatic negotiations purely voluntary on the part of the Czech Republic being a sovereign state. So we can only request and then invoke principle of comity, mga ganon, under international law. Pero otherwise, it's not a matter of obligation on the part of the Czech Republic.
Justified kaya ang galit niya sa Interpol?
Well, yung Interpol, hindi mo naman pwedeng pagalitan kasi it's just another organization to which the Philippines is a signatory. So it's just a parang cooperation lang. It's also subject to a set of rules and policies. And then, so you just have to comply with that. So apparently yung nangyari, I think based on the press conference, they just copied yung mga previous applications daw na parang more or less similar nature. So granted ng Interpol previously.
So by deduction, galit siya sa mga tao niya.
By process of elimination, sabi mo yan.
Sir, a question about the Interpol process kasi we understand that the application for red notice was filed as early as the last quarter of 2025. We're now going to the second quarter of 2026. So parang kalahating taon na. Ganun ba talaga katagal ang process ng pag-apply ng red notice or merong problema doon sa side natin in terms of
No, normally po case-to-case basis pero I don't think there's a reason na talagang magtagal ng ganun, no? Kung kompleto lang yung document submitted by the Philippines and kung because this is an urgent na
Yes, sir.
request for a red notice. So I suppose na kung hindi sa lumabas, let's say after a couple of weeks or 1 month or 2 months, dapat you should have been making urgent follow-ups with the Interpol. And then para malaman mo ano bang kulang, okay? What else what other documents do you need to submit? Dapat talagang follow-up na talagang yung talagang masinsid na follow-up for the issuance of the red notice.
Yes, sir, kasi magme-May na eh. In a week's time, it's already May. And I think they filed this application for red notice per month pa eh. Ano ba yun? Was it September?
Kasi hindi
October?
mo po pwedeng mag-file ka lang and then maghintay ka lang, di ba?
Yeah.
So dapat talaga mag-follow up ka para malaman mo ano ba yung kulang, di ba?
Okay. That's quite depressing. Okay. Reg, Ronald, may pahabol pa kayo.
Okay, we're good.
Okay na ako, baka maging accosted pa ako ng principal.
We'd like to say thank you.
Accosted is such a benign word. More like wag na nga.
Held up. Di ba? We'd like to say thank you to Dean Ralph Sarmiento of the St. LaSalle School of St. LaSalle School of Law in Bacolod.
Thank you po.
Maraming salamat po and thank you for elucidating a very elucidating discussion. Okay, parang na-depress ako dun sa napag-usapan natin.
Talagang gusto mo maging ma-arrested si Saldico
Hindi, di ba? If there's one guy who may have the key to a lot of things that are floating around, a lot of questions that are floating around, it's Zaldico. And actually, everybody wants to talk to him, from the opposition to the administration. Of course, that's the presumption, di ba? And to the public.
That's a presumption, as you said.
Yeah, that's the presumption. We'd like to. I don't want to go into conspiracies, but that's the presumption. That should be the presumption. Ayan. Okay. 60.
So if that were the presumption, And we knew he had been in Europe since at least late last year. So he went to the United States first, allegedly to get medical treatment, then Singapore, then back to Europe, and so on and so forth. And as early as last year, authorities had known about a potential Portuguese passport or golden visa. The question is, bakit hindi nagkaroon ng earlier coordination over all of this? At the press conference last night, and I don't know if you watched it in full, the ambassador was being asked, or sorry, not the ambassador, the Secretary Vida was also being asked whether there's already coordination with the neighboring countries of the Czech Republic in terms of detaining or capturing Zaldi Ko. These are, I think, Germany, Austria, or the other neighboring countries, the ones with the share land border with the Czech Republic. And I don't think he was able to answer it, you know? So, yeah.
Baka hindi niya alam yung mga neighboring countries.
Alam ni Ambassador Ambassador Menyes, the Philippines representative to the Czech Republic. Alam
No,
niya.
I mean
Yeah.
the secretary. I mean the Secretary of Justice.
Kaya talaga, oh.
Anyway,
Di
Teka.
parang si Hexep, di ba? Si Hexep, di alam kung ano yung ASEAN.
yeah.
Tinanong siya sa
Yeah.
confirmation niya.
O, teka, mag-gap muna tayo. Yung mga depression natin, ilabas muna natin during the gap. You're
Teka
watching-
lang.
Oh,
Germany, Austria, Slovakia, Poland. That's it.
The
Those are the
borders.
ones that share a border. Germany, Austria, Slovakia, Poland that share a border with the Czech Republic.
Pero very basic kasi yung issue eh. May kaso ba siya? Ano ba yung papers na dala niya? Wala nakakaalam eh. Parang international man of mystery rin si Zaldi Ko ngayon ah. Ed,
so daig ka pa, ganun.
talo ko. Pero kainuman ko siya, mukhang okay naman siya kagabi.
Bit-bitin mo na pa uwi. Total, ikaw naman si Naldong Putik eh.
Ha? Hindi putik.
Burak.
Burak. Napaliwanag mo na kay Reg ko yung burak.
Hintay mo yung reaction.
Boracay.
Mga lasalista talaga. Ganun ko ng burak.
O sige, mag-gap muna tayo kung ano pinag-uusapan niyo eh. Sorry, wala na akong boses na eh. Mag-gap muna tayo. You're watching Starcon on One News. We need to take a break. We'll be right back.
This is the Story Conference Group or the Storycon Group.
We've got developing news in the stories behind the headlines. Welcome back to the StoryCon or the Story Conference. And of course, still with us, StoryCon's co-host Regina Lay and Ronald Llamas, our, what do I call you again? Our Naldong Putik.
Naldong burak. Burakay.
Boracay.
Wag mo na, alam mo,
Ang corny?
yun, corny yun ha. Mas gusto ko yung Naldong Putik.
So corny. So corny.
So corny.
Pero talaga yung kicker talaga kahapon, yung, I don't know what burak means.
Nag-viral yun ha. Nakita ko sa social media.
Oh, really?
Ang daming views.
Padala ko sa yung link, Reg.
Sorry na.
Ang
Sorry na
daming
po.
views.
Sorry na po.
Ano yung burak?
I have no excuse. Wala akong excuse. And that's why it's also a learning
okay.
experience for me, diba? Every day I learn something new
Okay.
from you guys.
Okay.
Wow. Tuloy.
Sorry. Okay, sige.
Gusto mo Ed, bigyan kita ng agimat ko? Meron ako agimat eh.
Kinakabalan ko sa mga gimat mo eh.
Tumalon sa putik. Tumalon sa burak.
Okay, let's bring in our next correspondent. We have Marian Enriquez reporting live from the House of Representatives. Man, anong balita doon sa impeachment hearing bukas?
Yes, Bok, bukas nga nakatakdang muling gumulong yung impeachment hearing ni Vice President Sara Duterte sa House Committee on Justice at pag-uusapan yung alegasyon ng grave threats o yung pagbabanta ni VP Sara sa buhay ni na Pangulong Bongbong Marcos, First Lady Liza Araneta Marcos at dating House Speaker Martin Romualdez. Pinatatawag nga yung National Bureau of Investigation o NBI kaugnay doon sa kanilang investigasyon at tatalakayin nga kung bubuksan ba o hindi yung green box na naglalaman ng mga ITR ng mag-asawang Duterte Carpio mula nga po sa Bureau of Internal Revenue o BIR at ay nga mismo kay Committee Chairperson Jervy Luistro, hindi na makaapekto yung reklamo ang inihain ng asawa ni Vice na si Attorney Manz Carpio. Tuloy daw yung impeachment proceedings hanggat walang binababang temporary restraining order o TRO yung Korte Suprema. At bukas, kung wala naman ang concern ng ibang justice members at hindi na hihiling pa ng panibagong araw para nga sa pagdinig, inaasahang magbobotohan na yung komite kung may probable cause ba o wala yung dalawang impeachment complaints at kabuuan o entirety of the complaint nga yung pagbobotohan tulad ng mga ginawa ng nakaraan sa pag-determine nga ng sufficiency in form and substance. At kung makapagbotohan na at ideklara sakali man na may sapat na basihan yung mga reklamong impeachment, inaasahang sa Lunes may muling magpupulong yung Justice Committee para sa pag-aproba ng committee report at pag-uusapan nga yung articles of impeachment na itatransmit sa plenaryo. Bibigyan ng kopya yung lahat ng mga kongresista para pag-aralan yung report at yung articles of impeachment. Gayun din yung mga complainant maging yung respondent na si VP Sara. At sa May 11, inaasahan nga pagbobotohan kung i-impeach o hindi si VP Sara sa plenaryo. Balik sa inyo.
Okay. Pero
Marian?
sige po.
Marian? May marites ka na ba dyan? Kung una, kailan yung botohan sa plenary para sa impeachment? At saka ikalawa, may marites ka na ba kung ilan na yung boto nila dyan? Paano nagbibilang sila eh?
Ako, Tito Ronald, yun sa numbers, baka ikaw mas may alam. Pero yung, ang nabalitaan niya natin, yung May 11. Ha?
152.
May 152. Akala ko nasa
bakit may votation ka na?
Marites
Pero yung,
nga eh. Ano
narinig
bang
natin?
tawag sa marites? Chismis. So.
Yung chismis. Pero ito, sabi naman ni Chair Jervy Luistro na inaasahan nga kung ganun yung latag ng mga schedule at kung yung tomorrow na nga, kung sakaling tomorrow na yung last hearing, sa May 11, inaasahan yung plenary vote. So yun tinitingnan natin. May 11, that's Monday po.
Okay.
Plenary vote because she told us yung Justice Committee vote will be on the same day most likely after tomorrow kasi they expect that tomorrow's hearing will be a lot shorter kasi it's on the threats to the president's life, no? Ang resource persons lang naman daw dyan is MPI and a few other people. So May 11 plenary.
Tama. Yes, May 11, second Monday.
Pero, Bok, ano yung, paano nga pala yung bukas yung BIR documents, mabusisi pa ba yan? What's the plan there? I mean, doesn't that come before yung tanong ng threats against the president's life?
Mm-hmm. Actually, yun nga yung pagbubutuhan din bukas, kung bubuksan ba o hindi. Dahil maalala po ninyo, di ba, isinantabi nga muna yung pagbubukas ito nung nakaraang linggo at bukas pagbubutuhan nila yan. And according to Congressman Terry Ridon, Bicol Soro Party List, sinabi niya, imumove niya na buksan daw talaga itong box na to. Kasi nga, dapat mabuksan to dahil kapag dating daw sa Senado, mukhang mahihirapan kung dadalhin doon ng nakaselyado pa. So, yun muna at titingnan natin, abangan natin bukas.
Okay, will that be the first one before they talk with the NBI? Which goes first?
Yan ang tinitingnan natin pero base doon sa mga nakaraan nating panayam, mukhang yan muna yung unahin. Bago
Yung
nga
BIR.
yung NBI. Yung NBI. Mm-mm.
Okay. Okay. Ronald, Reg, anything else?
Yep. We're good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Dagdag ko lang din, according to Kong Terry Ridon, kanina sinabi nga niya na naniniwala siya na same majority pa rin yung boboto na may probable cause dun sa impeachment complaints bukas. So siya, kung siya raw yung tatanungin, boboto siya na mayroon talagang probable cause. Kasi kung makikita nga raw natin mula sa confidential funds, yung notice of disallowance pa lang ng Commission on Audit, pinababalik yung pondo mula kay VP Sara at iba pang opisyal. Tapos lumabas pa yung billion-bilyong government or yung bank transactions na pinuna nga ng AMLAC na abot pa sa 6.7 billion pesos at kahit para i-minus mo or yung net inflow lang aabot pa rin sa 2.8 billion pesos yung may iwan doon sa bank accounts ng mag-asawa. Talaga namang hindi daw tumutugma doon sa 88 million pesos lang na diniklara ng bise sa kanyang 2024 salin. So kahit yun pa nga lang daw talaga mabigat na. Sabi nga niya hindi lang daw to smoking gun, tinawag niya itong nuclear bomb. Balik sa'yo.
May ganun
Marian, meron ka bang marites doon sa conduct ng mga political parties dyan sa House? Dahil, di ba, nung nakaraang buwan, nagpaparamdam yung NUP na hindi daw sila boboto sa impeachment. Tapos, nung Justice Committee voting, isang tiga-NPC lamang ang bumoto. No? Almost all ay wala sa meeting. So may mga nararamdaman ka bang ganyan sa mga political parties, NPC, nasyonalista, lakas, lalo na ngayon na may kaso si former Speaker Martin Romualdez, head siya ng lakas sa NUCD. So what's happening dito sa mga political parties na ito in relation sa impeachment?
Tito Ronald, alam mo ba yung National Unity Party? Totoo yung sinabi mo, no? Kung noong una, talagang very firm, lalo na yung kanilang presidente, kanilang chair, na si Deputy Speaker Ronnie Puno na hindi raw sila boboto dito sa impeachment kung walang bagong ebidensya. Pero nakita natin, lalo na ng mga nakaraang pagdinig, mukhang supportive at talagang tumihimik. Kumbaga yung call na ganon, wala na tayong nakitang press release, wala na rin mga bagong statement itong kampo nga ni Deputy Speaker Ronnie Puno. So mukhang nakikita natin kasi nung naalala niyo yung determination ng sufficiency ng substance, he is pertaining really actually na makita nga, mambuksan yung mga ebidensya. No? Kung gaano kalakas daw yung mga ebidensya. Pagdating naman sa lakas, base pa rin doon sa huli natin pakikipag-usap kina Congressman Adyong, yung grupo nila supportive talagang nananatili yung kanilang pagboto sa kung ano yung bunoto nila noong nakaraan. Yun pa rin yung ganyang nakikitang malakas para yung basehan dito nga sa mga ebidensya, lalo na lumabas doon sa AMLAC records. Balik sa inyo.
Okay. Ay, pahabol na lang. Kamusta yung di ba nagsampa ng kaso kahapon yung abogado ni Mans Carpio laban sa ilang congressman kasama si, I think, President Dania, Chel Diokno, tsaka si Lala Drima at kay Jebel Luistro. What do we expect from their end as far as that's concerned?
Actually, ang sagot nila dyan, karapatan naman daw ng kampo ni Atty. Mans Carpio na maghain ng reklamo, nakahanda rin daw silang sumagot sa tamang forum, pero nanindigan sila, lalo na si Chair Jervy Luistro, nakausap natin sa kanina, sinasabi niya na lahat po ng kanilang ginawa at lahat ng kanilang gagawin ay naayon sa konstitusyon. Wala raw po silang nilalabag sa saligang batas at kanilang constitutional mandate. Napapaloob po, hindi lang sa konstitusyon, kundi pati doon sa rules on impeachment ng Kamara, yung pagsusabpina, yung kanilang kapangyarihan para po magsabpina ng mga dokumento at mga tao para nga pumapatunayan kung meron ba probable cause o wala itong mga aligasyon. Binabato laban kay VP Sara. Balik po sa inyo.
Okay. Maraming salamat. News 5 correspondent Marian Enriquez reporting live from the House of Representatives. Thank you, man. Okay.
Pahin lang natin the DFA statement on Zaldi Ko. This was just issued. The DFA says it wishes to clarify the matter regarding Elizalde Ko. The DFA canceled one regular and one diplomatic passport by virtue of a court order in December 2025. This was immediately reported to Interpol. So with regard to his other regular passport, which expired in September 2022 and which may have been used by Mr. Ko to cross to Germany from the Czech Republic, this need not be canceled since its expiration rendered it unusable for international travel. So all three passports are not valid. The diplomatic passport, when he was a lawmaker, was canceled, and so was the regular passport. And the third one was the expired one, which allegedly he had tried to use to cross to Germany from the Czech Republic by land.
Oh, 2022 pa eh. Okay. Okay. But there we are. It's a lot more complicated now. Kung totoo nga na nag-file na siya ng application for asylum sa France. So let's see how
I
that
guess
goes.
the good news there is we have very strong both diplomatic and trade relations with France. No, in fact, in just the
Yes.
last 1 or 2 years alone, France has we just a few months ago we signed the SOFA, the Status of Visiting Forces Agreement with France. This is just the same as the VFA that we have with the United States. France is also committing a lot more military assets to us and a lot more help with the training and coordination and interoperability and all of that. Tapos with trade, they're also talking. We're in the late stages of an EU free trade agreement, which is also being driven by France. So I guess the good news there, if you wanted a silver lining, Ed, is we have very strong diplomatic and trade relations with France, and hopefully it's something the government can leverage, di ba? When it comes to that asylum application. Hindi ko rin alam bakit of all places sa France siya nag-apply when surely he would know that, there's tight cooperation between Paris and Manila.
Yes. May properties yata siya sa France eh. Alam ko meron siyang bahay dito sa France. No? Pero kung alam ko, kausap ko last week mga high government officials, including several mayors, ministers. So, pagbalik ko mamaya, we'll ask them again. Committee ko rin yung ating ambassador sa France, si Ambassador De Vega, last week. Wala siyang alam dito sa asylum na ito. So, I will also ask him. Baka ngayon lang siya na-inform. Tungkol dito. Pero tama ka, Reg, mas stronger yung relationship natin sa French government than sa Czech Republic. Actually, last year, dapat merong trip yung presidente natin dito pero na-postpone. No? Medyo masama nga yung loob ng mga ibang French officials. No? Bakit na-postpone yung visit niya to meet Macron? No?
Naalala ko to, yes.
This year ay sinasuggest nila na matuloy na. No? So, baka isa yon sa pwedeng pag-usapan. Dahil kung president to president, matindi yun. Kung request niya. Kaya maraming pwedeng gawin. Basta the government has to get its act together. No?
Yeah.
Get its act together.
But wouldn't it have been easier for Zaldico to have just applied for asylum sa Portugal, where he already presumably has a residence visa or investor's visa, and he would already have presumably more ties there.
Hindi natin alam
That's
yung mga
why.
detalye. Hindi natin alam yung mga detalye,
Yeah,
Ed.
yeah.
Baka meron siya mga considerations na hindi pa natin alam.
Baka mas gusto niya sa France, di ba? Kasi France.
I am sure maraming considerations that we're not seeing. I just don't know if he weighed the possibility that it may have to come down to, as Ronald said, government to government, president to president directly. Diba? It may very well come down to that. As I said, France over the past year and in the coming 5 years has a lot of plans for the Philippines, a lot of commitments to the Philippines, a lot of not just the Philippines actually, to the whole of Indo-Pacific. They want to beef up their presence here in this part of the region. So I imagine they're also very highly sensitive to transnational crime, di ba? Particularly if na-issue na ang red notice alert for him.
Actually, meron nga tayong pinoprocess at this point, mukhang advanced level na 40 boats para sa ating Coast Guard. Galing sa French ODA. No? That's 40 boats. That's much more than what we have now. No? So, madodoble or matitriple yung ating Coast Guard capacity pag natapos na yan. No? Merong isang French firm, OSEA, na nandyan ngayon sa Pilipinas. Yan din yung ninegotiate ko noong panahon ni Pinoy para makakuha ng 5 Coast Guard vessels. Ngayon, 40 ang ninegotiate nila. So we have strong relationships now with France. Maliban ba sa mga bridges, they're building our bridges sa rural areas. Kakatapos lang, kaka-approve lang sa Panglao, sa Bohol. It's a huge bridge. No? So maraming mga ngayon, nag-heighten up yung ating partnership with France.
Exactly.
Okay, I guess that's it. Let's call it a day for the story conference on a Tuesday, April...
Aga pa, may 10 minutes pa.
Sige.
Baka pwede pa mag-rant
Ano pang gusto mong sabihin?
principal. Hindi, si principal, baka pwede pa mag-rant. No? Tungkol sa mga paborito ng topic. No?
Napaisip tuloy si Principal, oh.
What am I ranting about? I'm ranting about the peso being 61 spot 30 cents to the dollar. That's what
Ano
I'm
bang
gonna rant
balita ngayon,
about.
Reg, dito sa oil? Ano, mataas pa rin sa per barrel ang Brent dito sa international market. Hindi siya bumababa.
Hindi siya bumababa. And ang balita is Russian ships were able, there was a Russian yacht that was able to pass through the Strait of Hormuz.
Kaalyado ng Iran ang Russia.
Yes, yes. And at this point, as far as the Philippines is concerned, di pa rin natin alam if after the last news that there was shipment from Russia, the Russian crude oil, we don't know what else is coming, what else is in the pipeline. As far as we know, the government was able to secure about 2 million barrels or so, roughly. But beyond that, we don't know what's going on. Although, of course, the good news is, of course, the Secretary Gurin has imposed a kind of soft price cap. Diba? They're going to cap the profits of the oil companies. Hindi yung, it's not a hard cap.
Hindi
in the
yung,
sense na
hindi yung
ang wala-
windfall, ah. Hindi yung windfall.
Part of the windfall.
Yeah.
Which windfall are you talking about? Is it government or is it oil companies?
From the oil companies, no?
Yeah. Well, yes, they're gonna cap the windfall. So if you're earning, let's say 10 pesos, 20 pesos a liter, she says they're gonna calculate that based on the mean of flat Singapore and decide what the maximum profit should be. So it's kind of like a soft price cap.
Pero gray area yan, because of our oil
very much a gray
regulation.
area.
It's a gray area. No?
It's very much a gray area. That's an anti-free market. But ito naman yung sinasabi natin when it comes to crises like this, because walang provisions there that will, that gives the government teeth, dadaanin mo na lang sa moral suasion, right? Sa pakiusap, di ba? Because legally, there's no basis for capping the prices.
Yeah.
So dadaanin mo na lang sa,
Actually,
like you said,
there is,
isang
yeah.
tawag lang yan, kay Ramon Ang.
Sa oil regulation law, meron eh. Di ba? We've cited that provision several times. In times of crisis, the DOE can, not specifically set a cap, but even take over oil businesses.
I suspect there's no capability to do that. And this is why I see Ramon Ang is, I guess, very confident about saying, well, if you want, anytime you can take it back. You can take back Petron. Diba? I suspect there's no...
Because the government can't do it.
Exactly. I suspect there's no capability to do it right now. That's why they don't want to trigger that provision that says, yes, the government can take over in times of crisis. In other news, the ICC pre-trial chamber has convened a trial court for former President Rodrigo Duterte. Papapasok lang.
Yeah, that's
I'm
gotten
just
the ball
calling up
rolling.
the-
They've constituted already the trial chamber that will do the actual trial of
Yes.
Duterte. So what follows there, I suppose, will be the timetables. Now that
Correct.
the people involved already, that the judges have been named, ang susunod dyan siguro is what the deadlines are going to be.
At saka yung isang issue dyan ay kung magpo-proceed na yung trial, ano mangyayari doon sa mga bagong kakasuhan?
Yeah.
No? Dahil
Yeah.
i-accelerate na rin yun. Yung listahan nila na Bongo, na Bato, na Justice Secretary Aguirre, no? Tingin ko mag-escalate yan dahil officially magsisimula na yung trial. So yung preliminary investigation, dito naman sa mga taong ito, baka bumilis na yan.
Yeah. Yeah. The pre-trial, so it's gonna go to trial chamber 3 at the ICC. There are 3 judges: Joanna Conner, Kibong Peik, and Nicholas Gilu. Not clear yet where they're from. I guess you can guess that Gilu could be French. But in any case, pupunta sa trial chamber 3, and now we're waiting for the timeline from this chamber as far as Rodrigo Duterte's hearings are concerned.
Reg, anong status nung precautionary hold departure order ni former Senate President Chis Escudero? Nasaan yun? Anong status na? Dahil significant yan,
I thought it was granted. Hindi ba?
Oh, which one? HDO?
The PhDO?
Yeah.
Cheese.
For cheese? Yeah. It's been granted already.
Granted.
Yesterday pa.
So granted na siya.
Both
Yeah.
like Martin Romualdez and kay Cheese Escudero. Oh, sorry, not Martin Romualdez yet. Cheese Escudero
No,
and
Martin
Maynard
was the other
Go.
day. Martin's was earlier. Cheese, Martin's was
Oh,
earlier by
yung kay
1
Martin,
day.
granted na rin.
Oh, cheese
Yes,
followed the next day.
nagugulan na ako. Yeah, you're right. I got confused. It's Martin's camp that's trying to legally challenge the PhDO. And then yesterday it was the PhDO for Cheese Escudero and Maynard Go. The alleged so-called bagman.
Yeah. Pero yung kay Martin Romualdez, may freeze order na rin sa assets. At saka may kasong sinampan na rin sa Sandigan Bayan o isasampa pa lang? No.
Wala
saw
pa
that- I
atang
saw
kaso sa Sandigan. If I recall, the last time we heard about a case, which was basically the recommendation pa lang from the Blue Ribbon, is to undertake a preliminary investigation or further investigation of several senators. Pero yung actual case
Pero
parang
ano
wala
yung
pa.
lumabas na papeles na parang invoking yung testimony ni Gutesa, testimony ni Saldico, yung even the 18 Marines, no? Nakita niyo ba 'yon? It was a case filed sa Sandigan Bayan or about to be filed
By
by the ombudsman.
By the ombudsman?
Against Speaker Martin Romualdez.
let me check on
Yun
that.
yung you have to check on that. Dahil nakita ko yung papeles eh. Either na file na siya o
Was it filed?
Hindi ko nga alam eh.
Okay.
Kung ano status. Yeah. Pero nabasa ko yung papers.
Remember what former Speaker Romualdez said though? He's not going down alone, to paraphrase him.
Yes.
So-
Pero ang sabi rin niya, Reg, weak yung case against him. Una, dahil wala naman si Gutesa. Ikalawa, wala naman si Saldico. Tapos medyo tainted daw yung 18 Marines. So ang sinasabi niya,
And also because
hindi ganun kalakas yung case against him. Yun ang sinasabi niya.
he wasn't part of the small committee that
Yeah,
worked
sa
on those
BICAM.
budget insertions at the BICAM.
Yes.
His defense is that he just signed off as the Speaker of the House,
Speaker,
but he wasn't part of the horse trading.
Yeah. Pero pag nag-file kasi ng isang non-bailable case sa Sandigan Bayan, it's not about whether strong or weak yung case eh. Kulong ka kagad nun eh. Like Bong Revilla, no? Kulong ka kagad.
Yeah.
Kung
Yun na yung,
non-bailable.
yun na yung pinaprotesta ni former Congressman Mike Defensor, right? The charges against him were, not against him, but against his wife
Family.
and son or daughter were non-bailable charges. These are very serious crimes.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, Ed. Nakapag-rant na kami ni Principal.
Oo. Ito, pinapahaba pa ni Ronald eh. Nag-goodbye na ako kanina eh. Pinahaba pa na sa
For
10
8
minuto eh.
minutes. Sayang, dahil pa oras eh.
Ikaw talaga?
Gusto mo ba mag-rant? We have a lot more to rant.
Sige na,
Yes,
goodbye na.
especially the Principal.
Tuesday pa lang eh, mahaba pa linggo. Okay, maraming salamat for joining us today. Storycon's Principal, Regina Lay, and Ronaldong Putek, o Ronaldong Burak, Ronald Llamas. Ang gaganda ng mga title nyo ngayon, di ba? Join us again tomorrow 4 p.m. for Storycon. I'm Edlingo, kapatid. We are One News, all sides, all the time.
This is the Story Conference Group or the Storycon Group.